北京景山报告。
我是北京景山，请讲。
景山报告测量船当前海况及2小时准备情况。长江3号海况4级，浪高2米，风力4级，能见度15公里。景山天路长江3号2小时准备完毕。景山报告完毕。
北京明白。
北京华山报告。
我是北京华山，请讲。
华山2小时准备完毕。华山报告完毕。
北京明白。
各号队收集2小时准备情况。0号。
2小时准备完毕。
太原。
2小时准备完毕。
渭南。
2小时准备完毕。
青岛。
2小时准备完毕。
酒泉。
2小时准备完毕。
青山。
2小时准备完毕。
双城。
2小时准备完毕。
5号。
2小时准备完毕。
天仓。
2小时准备完毕。
北京东风报告。
我是北京东风，请讲。
东风2小时准备完毕，报告完毕。
北京明白。 4号注意，我是北京，1小时准备。东风
明白。
华山
明白。
江阴
This is a series of locations that's being read out right now. It all sounds like everything's in order.
0号
明白。
太原
明白。
渭南
Yeah, this is the checking of the communications in between the ground stations. That is going to be keeping tracking and data collections throughout the process.
明白。
So we know that the rocket is going to fly along this trajectory. You know, underneath those are the stations that can check them from horizon to horizon. So all the way, what we call overpassing your head. So all the process, all the complete process of the launching will be monitored. So because it's human-rated launching campaign, so we need to be very careful in collecting all the data along the track of the launching.
Well, let's go to our reporters. We have Sun Ye, who's at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, and we have Zheng Yibing, who's at the Beijing Aerospace Control Center. Hi, guys, once again. Sun Ye, so what's happening over there now? Tell us what you're seeing from the angle you're standing at. We can see the launch tower right behind you.
Right, hello, Zhao Yang. Hello again from 1.5 kilometers away from the launch pad. I think you can see it too. The tip of the rocket has revealed the launch hour is getting closer. We all heard that 1 hour countdown. We also heard calling out each system and asking them to report their status. Many of them have said normal, and we also, in between that hour, we talked before, we talked to experts with the launch center system, with the spaceship system, with the rocket system, and their updates also have been unanimous. Things have been going according to plan, and things are going as smoothly as it can be. Now, the Shenzhou mission, it has become quite a regular mission, twice every year, once in spring, the other time, like now, in fall or autumn. But even if it's a regular mission now, we still see people here trying to better the entire process. Now, the experts from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center say they've been trying to optimize the entire launch cycle and the test process. They've been doing so by making the whole process smarter and more automatic. They say their aim is to keep everything going perfect, but also make it more efficient. They've told us in the last few days that they have been working to make the launch towers work more, that they had a higher frequency of use, and they're also shortening the recovery time after each launch, and that really makes sense. Earlier, I think you talked about this year marks the 25th year since Shenzhou-1 launched. In 1999, the launch frequency is nowhere it is right now. In fact, the first 100 launches for this launch center was achieved in 48 years, but the next 100 launches at this launch center was achieved in just 5 years, between 2018 to 2023, and that really speaks to how fast China's space industry is developing and its need for more launches. Now, the launch center also said that this place has great terrain and weather. It says it's clear for launch 300 days out of every 365 days. So that's the room for growth with all of those launches. And as we said earlier, the launch cycles and the test processes have been optimized. That's including this one. This Shenzhou-19 mission had seen its test process shortened, and I think you're hearing it now. Another command is going to be issued as we near the launch hour. Jiao Yang.
Sonia, thank you so much. And now let's go over to Yibing. Yibing, so an hour to go, less than an hour to go. What's happening where you are? What the sort of preparations are being done there?
Well, good early morning, Zhao Yang. Well, in less than 1 hour, the Shenzhou-19 spacecraft will be launched from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. Here, we're at the core, the coordinating center for this whole mission, the Beijing Aerospace Control Center. As you can see, as you can hear, well, actually, the center is going through the system check with all the ground team for this mission. And we also see the constantly heated brief command from the Beijing Aerospace Control Center. We can hear the Beijing command with all working systems. And also we can see the status of the Shenzhou-19 crew on the big screen behind me. We can see the 3 Chinese astronauts or the taikonauts are in the spacesuit. They are in the spacecraft. They look calm and determined for this mission. And the Beijing Aerospace Control Center oversees the whole working system. The personnel are busy working here at this early morning. So I have to lower my voice. And it coordinates all the systems for the launch during the launch sequence. And also it will establish the measurement and control during the later stage via the relay terminals and satellites. It guarantees a smooth and safe journey of the Shenzhou-19 spacecraft to the Tiangong space station. And well, this time, the Shenzhou-19 spacecraft will dock with the Tiangong space station after the early stage of the flight. During the 7 previous China manned space missions from the Shenzhou-12 3 years ago to Shenzhou-18 6 months ago on this year, and we can see that all 7 missions adopt the faster rendezvous and docking mode. It took about 6.5 hours to get the Shenzhou spacecraft to the Tiangong space station. So this time, for the Shenzhou-19 mission, it adopts the same mode. So after this faster rendezvous and docking, we can see the exciting moment of the space meet between the 2 Shenzhou crews in China space station. Back to you.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Yibing, and we'll check in with you again later. Well, I have to say, I don't envy Sun Ye out there in the cold in northwest China there at the Satellite Launch Center. Even the rocket, as they were saying, needs a heat shield of some sort. Can you just explain to us a little bit more about that? How does it work? Why is it needed? Is it for the astronauts? Is it for the technology, the equipment itself?
Actually speaking, our launch complex, the design is very advanced, although it made many years before. You know that, as I mentioned, the launch complex has the service tower, while the service tower have 4 rotational platforms. So just before the launch, before the countdown, maybe 2 hours before, we can form a closed envelope for the whole launch vehicle. So it has air conditioners inside, so it can keep a very comfortable temperature for the launch vehicle and for the Shenzhou spacecraft. Moreover, you know that also we have air conditioning and ventilation system inside the payload ferry. So that's the reason we can have a right temperature. Moreover, we've already discussed, actually speaking, from the view of necessity, you know that the Long March 2F rocket uses a hypergolic propulsion system, which means that its fuel and the oxidizer, the propellant, work in room temperature. So that is more convenient to use. So usually under the, that in Jiuquan Satellite Launch, we can even launch the Long March 2F in extremely cold. I can remember maybe in 20 years before, we launched the Long March 2F in December or November. So that's much colder than today. So even in that extremely cold weather, we can launch Long March 2F. So that do not have any problem today.
So at least above 0 today. So then why does the 19 have this specially designed first ever heat shield?
Well, you see that for every mission, to my understanding, you know that every time we have the very special experiments. For instance, during the previous some Tianzhou cargo ship missions, and also during our previous Shenzhou missions, we have some biological experiments. And the samples is very interesting. Must be made just maybe 1 or 2 hours before the launch, and then brought into the cabin. So this is a very good example of the special requirement to the launch vehicle and to the spacecraft itself.
And you see temperature inside the spacecraft, is that why?
Not only temperature, matters? You know that they are living things, as Yansu already mentioned. So for instance, some cells to check the certain biological study, they must be made just before the launch, several hours. And today with the refrigerator on board our Tianzhou spacecraft and maybe also on our Shenzhou spacecraft, we can have a lower temperature for some samples. So this means that we have more advanced measures to have more complicated experiments. So maybe this is one of the reasons. But of course, for any sample, you may still remember that during the live coverage of CGTN on the return of the on the Chang'e 5 mission, we also have similar measures on the re-entry capsule to keep it warm.
Yeah.
So exactly. So of course, from the view of our designers and also those made these products, they always recognize this as their own kids.
Okay.
So this is the reason, I believe, one part of the reason.
Almost like just testing out new gear and technology.
Even some of the Russian capsules, in outer space, they have their coatings. It's like a warm jacket out in outer space because, the extreme temperature difference between the shadow and the solar side of the vehicles can be radical, can be 200 or 300 degrees different. So heat exchange and also thermal protections are very important, especially for manned missions with biological organs on board. So I think, once you see the rocket on the pad, you see that there's ventilation and power system still going on into the launch vehicle itself. With -2 and -1 hour launching preparations, we can see a sequence of unlocking of the rocket itself. It's fully fueled, but there are some keys that needs to be removed. It's just like an airplane. You have to remove them before you fly them. So those are locks. You have to unlock the rocket before you ignite them. So these are as part of the sequence that we're doing. We can also see some umbilical cores that going into the rocket.
What would be connected through those cores?
Those are, first is the power,
right.
and second is the communications. And these are connected to the launch vehicle because the launch vehicle batteries are limited and has to be reserved. We see that the indication of a successful launch is the deployment of the solar array. So later on we're going to see that once the solar array is deployed, we have power on board, and then the launching is a success. So before that, we used the ground support system in communications, in power supplies, even in air conditions for the astronauts. So all of these are going to use the ground until the last minute. We
preserve the battery.
Preserve the battery, preserve the power on board, so that they can be used in outer space.
What Yan-Song has already mentioned, the transfer of the power supply is a very critical milestone for the launch sequence. You know that, as Yan-Song has mentioned, we use both on the launch vehicles and also on the Shenzhou spacecraft, we use the storage batteries, sometimes zinc silver batteries, some lithium batteries to store the electricity. But you know that the capacity is limited, so we hope that we can remain more to the orbit, so it can increase the reliability and ensure the safety of the mission. So for most testing, we conducted that utilize power supply on the ground with the cables connected to the launch vehicle and the spacecraft as well. So you can see that at the moment you can still see that the 4 platforms,
only the top ones
are still closed, and now we are open another one.
The very
but
bottom
even
one,
after all these 4 platforms are opened, still we can see some very small arms connected to the launch vehicle. On these arms, we have the cables, we have the pipes connected to the launch vehicle, and they can not only provide the electricity, but they can also provide some gas, liquid to the launch vehicle. So this is a very important facility on our launch complex, and usually before the launch, before the rollout of the launch vehicle from the VAB to the launch pad, usually we will also have conducting some tests to ensure all these facilities goes well. So this is very important to ensure the successful launch. So that is the reason when I say that the launch itself is not only the business of the launch vehicle itself, the launch site system also plays a very, very important role. And moreover, to have all these data, you can ensure or you judge whether it is correct or not. You need the TT and C system, and you need the data handling system. So all these systems are very, very critical for the launch itself. It is also very interesting that, before the launch, we must ensure that in the dropping area of the substages, in the drop area of the boosters, we must ensure it's already safe enough. do not have residents
How
inside.
accurate can that be? How accurate?
It's cannot be 100% accurate. So there is a theoretical landing point, but usually surround this landing point, we have a dropping area because we have errors and also the influence of wind.
It's all calculated on the trajectory of the spacecraft.
Maybe several hundred
basically at village level.
So just before, so that is the reason why it costs more money if you launch this inland. So if you launch the launch vehicle on the seashore, the dropping area will be located in the sea. It's much simpler.
But do they still need to retrieve all the parts from the ocean? Is there
Normally
an obligation to do this?
They just make sure that the residents are safe. You know, a normal practice is to collect all the villagers, go to a movie.
Okay.
Exactly.
Collect the people.
Yeah, collect the people and move them to safe areas to, you know, let them enjoy a movie, and then the drop zone is done, and you know they can return to their home. If there are damages, you know, we compensate.
But there's no requirement in terms of I don't know, safety or security issues to retrieve these parts that have been jettisoned.
It's not mandatory.
It's not. Okay.
Sometimes it drops in a very remote areas. So basically, it's designed in such a way. So that's why Hainan, because the drop zones are in the ocean.
Right.
You know, so we don't have to recover from the ocean. But we do have, you know, new generations of rockets that can recover back to Earth. It's like SpaceX. You know, they launch and they recover the engine, and so that they can quickly reuse them again. So these what we call reusable launch vehicles instead of, you know, expendable. Traditionally, we call these are expendable launch vehicles.
Right.
You know, you launch them once and you abandon them. But you know, new technologies are coming. You know, commercial companies are picking up these technologies that they want to recover the first and second stage of the launch vehicle, so that it can be reused again and cut the cost of the launching.
Would these reusable parts be more viable financially too?
Yeah.
I imagine the cost of making something like this would also be pretty big, and the retrieval.
Normally, it's calculated by the kilos per orbit. You know, 1 kilo is roughly $10,000 for 1 kilo payloads on board.
So let's
look at the screen. You can see that, as I mentioned, the platform, the rotational platform on the bottom, or the fourth one, has already opened. We can now see the 4 boosters. Each of the booster of the Long March 12 have a diameter of 2.25 meters, and each of the booster have 1 rocket engine with a thrust about 75 metric tons, with the same thrust of the engine used on the first stage. In the core stage of the first core stage, we have 4 engines, each with a thrust of 75 metric tons. So the total liftoff thrust of the launch vehicle is 600 metric tons. So that is liftoff thrust of this launch vehicle.
We're hearing again the ground stations checking in. Seems to be a report of the conditions on the oceans.
Yes, it's the ocean-going boat that for TT&C purpose.
What the voice mentioned, the Changjiang 3号 is the name of the Yuanwang 3 space tracking ship. So it's now in the Pacific Ocean, and based on the report, there do have some tide, about 2 meters high. So you know that's the tide also influence the stability of the ship. So it will influence the tracking functions of the antennas. So this is also very critical. So that is the reason why we need to have this kind of report.
So eventually, once this spaceship, once it lifts off and it starts jettisoning off all its parts, right, all will be left would be the part that's at the very top of the tower that we can see now? Like all the rest will just be...
Not even the top of the tower, because the top of the tower is going to be escape tower, and the escape tower is going to be abandoned again. So it's going to be... first is the drop of the strap-on boosters or side boosters, and then the escape tower. Escape tower. And then the strap-on boosters, and then the fairing, and then the first stage and the second stage.
And eventually just...
And eventually just the service module and the capsule. The orbital module.
Okay,
sorry.
T-minus 40 minutes and counting. So in different stages, we have different checking sequences.
So what happens at 40 minutes?
Well,
T-minus 40
T-minus
minutes.
40 minutes, I believe that many critical trainings of the Shenzhou spacecraft and the launch vehicle has already been successfully conducted. And you can see at this moment, we are continuing. I believe that's another rotational platform is now opening. So we can see more and more of the fuselage of the Long March 12. The Long March 12, as I mentioned, is only one human-rated launch vehicle in China. It can meet the requirement of the high requirement to the reliability and safety to carry astronauts to outer space. And this rocket is derived from the Long March 2E. Long March 2E is the first launch vehicle in China that use strap-on boosters, the side boosters. So this is, actually speaking, this is also concerned with commercial space mode. You know that in the late 1980s and in the early 1990s, China hopes to enter the international launch market, launch service market. But at that moment, we do not have a powerful enough launch vehicle. So it is very interesting that at that moment, still, we do not have the technology of the side boosters. And we just deliver the design, the proposal to our customers in US. And then they agreed. And then we get the chance to design and make this Long March 2F and conducted some flight test, and then to utilize this in the commercial market. So this is the story. Although it is conducted by a state-owned company, but it is completely commercial activity. So that's very interesting.
Well, let's hear from the researcher of this spaceship system, and our reporter Chen Yiling spoke to him.
The Shenzhou-19 is the fourth manned spacecraft for a mission to China's space station in its use and development stage. Its structure consists of 3 modules, similar to the previous Shenzhou spacecrafts.
The Shenzhou manned spacecraft is mainly composed of 3 sections, namely the orbital module, the re-entry module, and the propellant module. The orbital module is mainly the work and living area for the taikonauts after entering orbit, and is equipped with sensors for rendezvous and docking with the Tiangong space station. The re-entry model can be seen as a cockpit. The propellant module is equipped with solar panels and engines, mainly to provide power.
The main upgrade of the Shenzhou-19 spacecraft is its loading capacity, which allows room for more cargo and a more spacious environment for the taikonauts.
We have optimized the orbital module product and layout of the spacecraft. Our research and development team have conducted a lot of tests and experiments in order to fully verify its transport capability.
This year also marks a momentous occasion, the 25th anniversary of the maiden flight of China's Shenzhou spacecraft, the Shenzhou-1. From that historic moment to ambitious missions of today, generations of engineers have put their hearts and unwavering belief into this journey.
What we frequently say is that manned space flights are a matter of life and death. During the entire development process, we always kept this in mind. We display our rigorous, cautious, meticulous and practical work style to ensure that the entire work is foolproof.
The Shenzhou-19 spaceship has much lined up after taking off. The spaceship will dock with the China space station from the front port of the core module. The assembly already has the Shenzhou-18 spaceship attached. The Shenzhou-20 spacecraft is also standing by at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center for emergency rescue. Qingling, CGTN from Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center.
So the Long March 2F rocket that's lifting the Shenzhou-19 crew is China's only manned carrier rocket. It has now been 25 years since the model's first flight. Here's Sun Ye with more.
For the Shenzhou-19 mission launch, the final leg of the journey for its spacecraft and carrier rocket combination starts from here at the iconic assembly tower here at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center.
The transport to the launch pad process has the rocket and spacecraft combination moving upright all along. In China, this way of transporting upright or vertical has started with the Long March 2F rocket.
The three vertical mode refers to vertical assembly, vertical transport, and vertical launch. The Long March 2F rocket is China's first three vertical mode rocket. Subsequent rockets such as the Long March 5 and Long March 7, which are currently in service, as well as the future next generation manned rocket, all use this three vertical mode.
Ever since the rollout process, the Long March 2F rocket responsible for the Shenzhou-19 mission has stood tall and straight. Its uprightness gets further fine-tuned after propellant loading.
You can see four green column-like support arms. Through these, the rocket's verticality can be precisely controlled. Generally, it is adjusted to within 1 minute, that is, within the range of 1/60th of a degree.
25 years ago, in 1999, it was a Long March 2F rocket that sent China's first experimental spaceship, the Shenzhou-19, into space. That was the rocket's first flight. As China's only manned carrier rocket in use at the moment, it has an all-success track record, and is still improving. 孙烨 CGTN 酒泉 Gansu Province.
So earlier when I was speaking to Wu Lei, he mentioned, after having reported on so many launches and returns, that this is one of the earliest launches for a manned space mission that he's aware of. Normally, I guess they're in the evenings. So what do you think the considerations are for this particular timing at 4:30 in the morning?
There is no other choices. As already mentioned many times, that the basic requirement for a chasing vehicle like our Shenzhou spacecraft to rendezvous and dock with our Tiangong space station, the most essential requirement is that it must in the same orbital plane with the Tiangong space station. So that it is located now in the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. So the only chance for the launch is that the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center rotate along with the Earth, and when it passing through the orbital plane of our Tiangong station. So only at this moment we can conduct the launch. So every day is different. So for today, it's early in the morning. So that is the reason, the most important reason.
So there is a launch window almost every day?
Theoretically speaking, there are launch window every day. But that's based on the case that you don't care how much time you need from the launch to the rendezvous with the Tiangong space station. But as we've already discussed, today we adopted a fast rendezvous and docking. To entering the same orbit plane is one matter, but how the distance is in the same orbit is another matter. So for the fast rendezvous and docking, theoretically speaking, it do not have chance every day. So for this kind of 6-hour or even shorter fast rendezvous and docking, it is a more strict requirement to the relative position between the chasing vehicle and the target vehicle. So for this kind of requirement, usually it do not have the launch window every day. And also, usually to make more of these chances, we need an active orbit maneuver of our Tiangong space station to change its what we call the phase, or with the change of its altitude, we can change the period of the whole orbit, and then with this, we can change the chance to have a fast rendezvous and docking.
So put it simply, if you want to have a quick and efficient launch and quick rendezvous, now is the time. But you can choose other times, but it consumes more gas, more power, more fuel, and takes longer time, and increase the safety risks, and also increase the cost and many designs and trajectories. So trajectory speaking, Professor Yang mentioned about the inclinations, the plane, the orbital plane, which is the angle that the space station is traveling in relative to the equator of the Earth. So that has to happen at this moment, because it happens today at this moment at 4:27 that these two vehicles are going to be traveling at the same plane. And then you can have a quick rendezvous and docking without too much maneuvers in orbit, which also can cause issues.
So essentially, they picked this time for being the most efficient and the
because
fastest.
you know that for every Shenzhou spacecraft, we only have limited propellants installed.
Right.
So that is the reason we hope that we can save more propellants during the chasing phase. So with this measure, we can save the propellant. Okay.
I think we're about to hit the countdown.
Okay, T minus 30 minutes and counting. So this is we are more closer to the launch.
So Shenzhou-19 will be launching in 30 minutes time, and looking at that full view of the launch tower there, and we've got just one more rotating platform left. Is it one or two? I can't really tell now from this angle.
I think there are two.
Two more left.
Now we can see still there are two rotational platforms closed.
The two in the middle, that's still
two in the middle,
waiting to open. So at this 30-minute countdown, this is a pretty critical stage, and as you were explaining earlier,
and the
every
next
stage
maybe
comes
will
with
be
something.
the 20 minutes or 10 minutes, T minus 10 minutes and counting.
So in terms of the astronauts themselves, I think all checks will have been completed for them, right? It's now just a technical, some technical matters to go through.
Well, one of the most important check is that to check the airtight sealing of the helmet. So you know that's the IVA spacesuit or the intravehicular spacesuit is the second measure to save their lives. The first is the pressurized module. So if anything wrong happened to the pressurized module, the re-entry capsule, if then the leakage happened, the IVA spacesuit can save their lives. So before the launch, they must close their helmets, close the face mask, and check if the airtight sealing is efficient.
Are they able to conduct that check
yeah,
themselves,
they will
or
check,
do they need to go
that.
through a system?
This do not need much.
Themselves,
yeah. They will check and report to the ground. Only with this check conducted can they ensure we can go further into the next step.
So safety has been considered as a priority to the astronauts.
Oh, yes, exactly.
At full stages, you know, even before they board the rocket itself, and also in the capsule, we rely on the escape tower, which can lift them out of the rocket and land in a safe area. Once the escape tower is ejected, we have the capsule that can also return to Earth with a parachute. Yeah. So at full stage, we have the safety of the astronauts. At any time that they can abort the mission, they can come back to Earth safely. So we had experiences before with the Soyuz rocket that they have already traveled about 100 kilometers above the Earth, and they had an issue with the rocket, so they had to return with the capsule itself. So they made it, but it was a rough ride.
Midway through the launch,
yes, midway through the ride. It's
returned.
Yeah, it's about less than 10 minutes of the launch.
That's what I mentioned, the MS-10 mission, Soyuz MS-10 mission.
And this would be something that would be programmed into as a sort of a backup plan already in the launch plan.
Look, this is another rotational platform has already been opened. We can see more parts of the fuselage of the core stage. Now even we can see the China national flags on the payload fairing.
Sorry, so just remind us again, what are the dimensions of the capsule that these astronauts are sitting in?
Well, you know, that's what we see just now is the payload fairing. The diameter of the payload fairing is 3.8 meters, the diameter.
3.8 meters.
And for the capsule, the diameter is about 3.35 meters. And also...
that's you're talking about the diameter from the outside, right? But for them,
it is the biggest one. But for the re-entry capsule, the size of the re-entry capsule, the biggest diameter is only about maybe 2.3 or 2.4 meters. So that's much smaller. So the advantage of use 3-module design with orbital module, the re-entry capsule, and the propulsion module is that the advantage you can build a very, very small re-entry capsule. So it's much easier. But you know that today the trend has already been changed. For the new generations, like our Mengzhou spacecraft, the diameter is much bigger. So it makes it possible that with a bigger diameter, the inner volume is already big enough. We do not need any orbital module. So comparing with 3-module design, with the new generation, we can adopt the 2-module design. And with the 2-module design, you know that almost all the new generation spaceship of all other space capable nations adopted this 2-module design because it has a bigger diameter, although it brings some challenge for the re-entry, but also have some advantage because with a bigger diameter you can also have a wider and more convenient inner volume, and also you can have more instruments recovered. So it is useful for the saving the money in retrieving the re-entry capsule.
The 3 meters in diameter is sort of the space between us right now sitting around here, but it looks
very small.
Much more snug, exactly, because they have so much equipment in there as well, right? It's completely crammed. I didn't see the astronauts go in with any luggage, shall we say?
It's already there.
It's already there.
In the orbital module. You can see that there are shelves everywhere, and the cargoes just put well and fixed well in the shelves.
Yeah.
So today, you know that it is very interesting. The role of the orbital module has already a little bit changed. You know that during the years before, they do have the function that it is a habitable area for the astronaut, because you know, as I mentioned, the re-entry capsule is too small, too narrow. It is not very comfortable to stay there for days, because so in the old missions we conducted several days of mission. For instance, for the Shenzhou-6 mission, the 2 astronauts, Fei Jinlong and Ni Haisheng, stayed in outer space for 5 days in this very narrow space. But today, you know that we've already adopted the faster rendezvous and docking. Only we need about 6 hours. So today, the role of the orbital module has already changed. So we hope that we can have more, because it doesn't matter to stay in such a narrow space, because only a very short period, only 6 hours.
Has it ever been used as an airlock?
No, we only use it as an airlock during the Shenzhou-7 mission.
Yeah.
But today we do not, because you know that in Shenzhou-7 mission we do not have other choices.
Because you have to go out to outer space for EVA, then you have to have an airlock.
Yeah.
So people can depressurize and then go out and come back.
And they
so use that as an airlock in the previous missions.
Yes. But today, you know that with the faster rendezvous and docking, it's okay for the astronaut to stay in a so narrow place for this short period. So we can have more chance to install more cargoes inside the orbital module. We've already seen that.
Yeah. They have modified the module. The expert mentioned that the 19 mission they have enlarged the volume so that it can put more cargoes, maybe more apples in board.
This is very meaningful for the biological experiments. Some living things. You can put that together with the astronauts inside.
Like the fruit flies. Yeah, so Mr. Xu, you were saying earlier that there will be another supply cargo ship going up there
next month.
Yeah, 2 weeks, right?
It's roughly mid-November.
Mid-November.
They're planning to.
And would that be the only supply ship then for the Shenzhou-19, or would be expecting another one a bit later?
The Tianzhou-8 cargo spacecraft will both support the Shenzhou-19 crew and the Shenzhou-20 crew, because you know that the interval we launch a Shenzhou spaceship is 6 months, but for the launch of the Tianzhou cargo spacecraft, the interval is 8 months. It's different. So for Tianzhou spacecraft, it will support 2 crews.
Okay, so the one going up next will be for this crew and the next.
Shenzhou-20.
Okay.
But they have plenty of things to unpack, because they have already got the service module, the orbital module fully packed with the bags, and so in the coming 2 weeks they're going to use that time to do a handover job with the Shenzhou-18, and also do a lot of unpacking and packing for the Shenzhou-18 to come back. So they have to do, put the experiments, results, and everything into the capsule of the Shenzhou-18 return capsule, and then wait for the cargoes to come. So it's a time sequence that allow them to work in this period of time with a carefully planned schedule.
It doesn't sound like they have much downtime at all. It's get there and it's out to work straight away, isn't it?
Now look at the screen. At this moment, all the rotational platform has already been opened.
So
we can see the whole fuselage of the launch vehicle itself. You can see the slim body. But still, I should emphasize, at this right moment, they still have some arms connected to the launch vehicle, usually in yellow color. You can see that. And also on these arms, there are cables and pipes connected to the launch vehicle. Still, at this moment, T-minus maybe 20 or 30 minutes counting, still we use the power supply, the electricity from the ground. So to stay, as Yansong has mentioned, to save the storage battery on board our Shenzhou spacecraft and our launch vehicle. And several minutes later, we will have a very critical step, as we already discussed, the transfer of the power supply from the ground to the vehicle itself.
You can see the two umbilical cords.
Yes, that's what I mentioned, the arms. Look,
yes,
yellow color, connected to the launch vehicle.
Well, we have 20 minutes or so to go until launch, and let's check in again with our reporter Sun Ye, who's there at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. Sun Ye.
焦阳很不容易啊，在如此临近火箭发射的时候，我们找到了一名火箭专家来告诉我们现在火箭的状态。我们这回请到了徐珊珊老师，他是中国航天科技集团的专家。那徐老师告诉我们，
please let us know about the latest situation about the rocket.
截至目前吧，
So and also till now, what kind of the work we have done. So let me report to you. Right now, that everything goes well, and the rocket actually is functioning well. Right now, we finished all the preparation work for the control system, and also the telemetry work actually is all in the program. So as we know, for the Long March 2F actually is famous for its safety and reliability, and also is improving itself. So this time, what kind of the modification we have? So for this time, compared to the Y18, so we have improved 23 items, and we talk about the structural system and also the techniques, and also for the ceiling and also the tetanus, and also actually we improved the process of launch. Previously, it needed 37 days. Right now, it's shortened to 30 days. Although it's a save that 7 days. A week time, but for the whole system, it's improve our efficiency, but also we could tell that for the old system of the rocket, actually we showcase our confidence and our understanding about the whole system. And also we are very glad and also very excited just within 20 minutes we will see Long March 2F Y19 will send Shenzhou-19 to the space.
All right, Sun Ye, thank you so much to you and your guest there. We'll check in with you again later. So lots of improvements made to every new edition of the rocket. Mr. Xu, what would you say are, do you think, some of the most impressive improvements made this round?
Well, I think the engineer has mentioned not only the launch vehicle itself has been improved with 20 plus items, but also
23, right?
Yeah, but also the Shenzhou itself, which is the launch vehicle and the capsule are manufactured by different academies. The launch vehicle is manufactured by the Chinese Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology. The capsule is manufactured by Chinese Academy of Space Technology. So all of them are working together to improve the efficiency, the reliability of the launch vehicle. We know there are changes. If you put a change to, for example, software, there will be a 7% chance that you will have another hiccup with the complete system.
7% chance. Yeah, that's very exact.
Yeah. So if you put a change into the system, you have to consider all aspects, and this has been experienced by the Europeans Ariane 5, because Ariane 5 is using the Ariane 4 launch vehicle softwares, but the software was modified in such a way that lots of unfitted software functions were remained in the Ariane 5 launch vehicle. So that had a catastrophic failure for the first launch. So when you make changes, you have to be very careful that this affects the other sides of the complete design. So they made very careful improvement. I think it's very important to increase the efficiency of the launching campaign. She said from 37 to 30 days. That means a lot of manpower saved, and lots of travels, and a lot of logistics, and lots of technical support has been saved. So I think that is a great improvement. launch vehicle and the whole system for a more efficient launching campaign.
Actually, Professor Yang, there's something I wanted to ask you earlier when we were talking about the IAC. So the theme this year was responsible space activities for sustainable development, right? So how does China's rocket and the Tiangong space station, how does that all fit into this?
Well, you know that during this IAC, we also have many events related to the China's manned space activities and lunar explorations. To have a sustainable future, you know that the leaders of China Aerospace, including Mr. Li Guoping and also Mr. Lin Xiqiang, although it's online. Okay, T-minus 15 minutes and counting. So this is also another milestone for the launch. So the commander on the launch site system are ensuring every subsystem goes okay. Go for launch.
15 minutes to go until the Shenzhou-19 launches.
Okay, so everything needs to be checked okay. So just during the IAC, that the leaders from China Aerospace expressed that China always recognize that sustainability is a very important consideration of all space activities, including, you know, that the debris reduction. You know that for all China's launch vehicles, including this one, and also other launch vehicles, after we come into orbit and send our payload into orbit, we will release the remaining propellants into outer space, and also discharge the battery to reduce it to the greatest extent the possibility of explosion. So this is a very reasonable measure to ensure that we reduce the
passivation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, you know that to keep the sustainability, you know that we also have already begun to coordinate with other countries, although it may be a little bit earlier, but the possible collision is this lunar space. You know that there are more, as Yan Song had mentioned. Today, the moon becomes another hot point of the space activities of human beings. So there are more landers, orbiters to the moon. Just during IAC, I met some private companies, including the Intuitive Machines from the United States. They provide the lunar landers commercially, and you know, and also other. I can see in the exhibition area, I can see a lot of moon landers, either those from the universities or from the private firms or from the national teams. So today is the right moment for us to coordinate our human space activities in the cislunar space, either in orbit or on the lunar surface. So because you know that we've already found water on the lunar surface, and also potentially in the future we can utilize the helium-3 to solve the energy problem of human beings. So it is very hopeful today we have the more and more chance to adopt the commercial style, a commercial manner in our space activities to provide all kinds of services to deliver goods to the lunar surface, or provide the communications or other services. So today, the lunar exploration is not only the business of national teams, but also more and more private firms engaged.
And Mr. Xu, how important do you think that is to have the private sector get engaged in this? I mean, what's the advantages that commercial space exploration has?
Commercial sectors can provide two aspects. One is financial support to the space program. Another is technical validations to the existing technologies, or maybe new technologies, demonstrations. But they also have a risk because Professor Yang mentioned about the space debris issue. We have roughly 100,000 objects orbiting the Earth orbit with diameter more than 1 centimeter.
100,000.
100,000 is already in orbit, and also
sounds like a lot.
We have also increasing number of commercial companies that is launching satellites into orbit with mega constellations. All three astronauts you can see on board, they have also the risk of colliding with the space debris. So one of the launching campaign has to do is to calculate the orbit, because they have modelized all the space debris, and they have to calculate very carefully the opening of the space debris so that the astronauts can travel to the station safely. And one of the prominent payload on board this mission, Shenzhou-19, is to install a space debris protection shield on board the station. This is going to involve EVA activities. Later on, we're going to see that installation. So that shield can protect in a degree of the bullet speed space debris hitting the station, damaging the station, leaking the station, or hurting the astronauts. So this is one areas that we have to be very careful. As you mentioned about the sustainability of IAC.
What would that look like? What would that spaceship look like exactly?
I think it's like a bulletproof panels outside of the fuselage.
Sort of hovering outside, or it would be a space in between.
The final ignition time has formally released.
Yes, we've got 10 minutes to go.
4 o'clock, 27 minutes and 31 seconds.
Yes.
So that's the accurate time for the ignition.
But
so
it's
very interesting, you know, that
almost exactly 10 minutes from now.
Yeah. You know, that it is very interesting that, you know, the countdown to zero, the definition in China and other countries are different. In China, the zero moment means the ignition time, but in other countries, for instance, in US, the zero means the liftoff time, the liftoff moment. So it's different for several second interval. So you can always hear the voice during the launch of China when ignition in zero, and the ground team will report the real liftoff time.
So what we're seeing now, the 4:27:31, that's the ignition time.
So that's accurate.
So the launch will be a few more seconds or so following that.
So you won't see fire, you know, after zero, you know, for 1 or 2 seconds, and then there's a fire.
But
so a little
in
delay.
US, you can see the fire just before zero, because the ignition is several hundreds ahead of the liftoff. And at time zero, it will lift off.
Is it very precise then, the amount of time? Would they know in advance the amount of time between ignition and actual liftoff? Can that be calculated in advance?
That's very important.
It has to be very careful, because the liftoff time is what we call a route parameter. That can calculate, it can be used for a route reference for calculation of the orbit. So once liftoff, there is going to be announcement, you know, the exact timing up to the milliseconds. What time the liftoff?
Exactly.
So then after we see the ignition, which was announced there, how many more seconds after that will we then see the rocket actually lift off?
Yeah.
Just 2 seconds. Okay, so it's not a big delay.
The ground team will report the real liftoff time, the real liftoff moment, accurate to milliseconds.
Yeah, after the liftoff, there's a first announcement. You can hear from there's a parameters. It's going to be announced by the control. So there's going to be a series of numbers. So that number is going to be used for calculation of exact orbit in the coming future.
For instance, for this launch, there will be a voice called 起飞时刻动40 27分31秒 497毫秒
Would you like to give that to us in English?
Okay, that's an example. So that called the real liftoff time is 4 o'clock, 27 minutes and 31 seconds and several milliseconds.
So that would be phonetically similar to
Chinese. So that's so every time the same style.
Yeah, but the cruise looks calm and firm, as they call it, then they're ready to experience.
They still haven't
2 of them are first timers.
Yeah, they still haven't put their visor, the helmet on properly, have they?
So you can see Miss Wang Haoze sit nearest to the camera. And already we can see maybe already her face mask has already her face window has already been closed, I believe.
Wait, she's the one that's at the bottom of the screen, or the farther one? She's the one at the far end, right?
To the
bottom of the screen.
Bottom of the screen. Yes, exactly. So as I mentioned, she is 03. Usually the flight engineer and all the payload experts sit in this position. And 02, as I mentioned, is Mr. Song Lingdong.
He's got the parachute button.
Yeah. To control, just not this time, just during the reentry half a year later. I hope he will also conduct a vertical landing.
But that would be impressive. It'd be
that
something
would be
to remember
more
for him.
For all the 3 crew members.
And especially for him being his first time up there and the first time return, if you get a vertical landing.
But horizontal, you can imagine you're being strapped by the safety belt to your seat, maybe face down.
Yes, exactly. Not very comfortable.
So if the vehicle, you know that there is a deviation between the center of his mass and a symmetrical axis. So because of this deviation, usually in most cases it will lie down. So that will be much more inconvenient for the astronauts.
So we're looking at some of the conditions right now at the temperature, 3 degrees only.
But
visibility, very low wind speed, right? 0.8 meters per second. Actually, is that low?
Actually, it is deep autumn in Jiuquan Satellite Center, much colder than the night of Beijing. We can see Miss Sun Ye, very, very sick close.
Yes, definitely. So, 5 more minutes to go till ignition time. And what, just talk us through what the astronauts will be experiencing during the launch before they reach orbit.
Parameters, and also maybe, as I mentioned, maybe they will already close their face masks. And also,
that's the 5 minutes countdown.
5 minutes and counting.
But the astronauts won't be able to see outside at the first stage. And then after the jettison of the escape tower and the fairing, they're going to have a little window they can see outside. See the horizon.
The what we call the launch azimuth, or the flight direction of this Long March 2F is going to the east and then a little bit to the south. So maybe at the separation of the second stage and the Shenzhou spacecraft, maybe they can already see the sunshine, maybe. And at that moment, they can have the light from the window.
And Mr. Xu, can you give us a sort of equivalent of what it would feel like to be an astronaut during this whole, after the liftoff, you know, especially with the G-force and everything, you know, what would it feel like to us, you know, if we can find something?
If you can imagine you're in a car, in a sports car, and you accelerate very quickly, it's like an airplane or even faster. Then you go vertically, but you're going vertically up with the acceleration, and then that would happen in the first, let's say, 10 minutes. The first 3 or 4 minutes, you get very quick acceleration, and there's what we call a max Q, the biggest time biggest stress that you can experience in the launching.
The biggest stress.
And then there's also issues what we call a pogo. Sometimes it go up and down. And
vibration.
Then, vibration. It's a vertical vibration we call pogo. And then after like 10 minutes, and then there's a seize of the engine, and then you feel microgravity. You don't feel anything. It's like floating in space. So that's the whole process of launching. I think
usually the thrust of the engines is a constant value.
Okay, 3 minutes.
T-minus 3 minutes and counting. But you know that the propellants become less and less. So the acceleration becomes more and more. You can feel more and more G-forces. So that is very normal. So usually the max G-forces happen during the separation of the stage. So that is the reason.
And this pogo stage you're talking about, I guess that's why they need the seat to be so snugly
you can feel
fit
that
to
all
their
your organs will
right?
go out.
It's like
to reduce the amount of space that you could be hitting against
it's
a chair.
Big suffering, yes.
You know that Mr. Yang Liwei feels extremely uncomfortable because you know that the G-forces combines with the vibration together. This can never be simulated on the ground simultaneously.
So they can't really prepare for this then, you're saying? If it can't be simulated on the ground, can they
will have trainings of the G-forces, they will have the trainings of the vibration, but
not together.
They cannot be combined together.
So then only
there's room for you improve the rocket itself and make it more smooth.
So really, only astronauts who've made the successful mission to space and back they're the only people who've actually can experience this movement, I suppose, of the launch. You can't replicate it here on Earth so far.
It's out of the Earth.
Okay, please notice it's already less than 2 minutes for the liftoff. And next, as I emphasized, some of the arm connected to the launch vehicle will be unplugged.
So all those umbilical cords, essentially. They're looking very tense there. This is the control center in Jiuquan.
We're going to have countdown at any time.
So we also have cameras mounted on these arms to monitor the separation procedure, the unplug procedure. So today we have more measures than before to ensure the safety.
I wonder how nervous they're feeling. Okay, this is the 1 minute countdown now.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
That means everything has to be in green light.
Mm.
Nobody has to press the red button.
Don't touch anything.
Yeah. The number of systems that has to work together.
But they're so practiced at this now, you know, they're so experienced with this whole process.
All the
40
arms
seconds.
untouched.
– 30 seconds to go.
So the transfer of power supply also accomplished.
Mm.
So the rocket is on the top.
Maybe the astronaut will salute.
Yeah, normally.
I feel the tension. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Salute. The report of the real top time. And the tower is cleared now.
I counted as well after the ignition, about 2 seconds, yes.
So
that's it, that's a long march carrier rocket.
Successful liftoff. After about 2 minutes, we will have what Yansu mentioned, the first separation.
Right,
the jettisoning of the emergency escape tower.
This you see is a strap-on booster.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the camera mounted on the core stage. Yeah. We can see 2 of the 4 strap-on boosters. 2 of the 4 side boosters. So as I mentioned, each have 1 engine.
Looking down.
I think we're hearing.
Yeah.
Really?
Looking backwards.
So nominal tracking.
Now we can see that on the right of the screen is the camera mounted inside the re-entry capsule, and on the left is what the camera, as Yansong by Yansong, the camera mounted on the core stage, looking backwards.
So at this point, they're not feeling so bad. It's when the boosters come off.
We have G-forces and vibration, not very comfortable.
They're accelerating. Yes.
And it became more and more worse because with more and more acceleration, with less and less propellants.
So it will get progressively worse. Right now is not the worst part.
There's a max Q, there's maximum time.
Right.
You're in the transonic procedure.
So any minute now, I think we'll see the propellants come
The
off,
speed
right?
is not
boosters.
still.
It is very interesting that maybe at this, maybe next ceremonies in Beijing, maybe on the top of this building, you can see the trajectory because it's very bright.
And we should get outside.
You can see the trajectory of the second stage.
Now you can pay attention to the escape tower. It's going to be ejected anytime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At about 2 minutes.
Be a small fire on top of the rocket.
Right. Looking at the very point of the rocket. Oh, there it is. It just went.
Jettison.
Yeah.
But still, we have rocket engines on the payload fairing. If anything wrong happens, we can still use the engines to separate the rocket.
The image on the right there that we saw was a simulation, was it? Or,
yeah. And now this is a real optical. Yeah.
Well, on the left of the screen is the infrared video images.
Yeah. Next stage is the separation of the strap-on booster. You're going to see 4 strap-ons are going to be separated at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like it's happening.
And this is when the villagers will be
and then the separation of the first stage.
Watching a film somewhere.
Okay. The first stage also separated.
That is the announcement of the boosters having separated.
Yeah. So the rocket is on the second stage.
Yes. And the next step will be the separation of the 2 payload fairings. At that moment, maybe the astronaut can enjoy the view.
Yeah. The separation of the fairing means you're out of this world now. Then you're out of the atmosphere, and you have no drag from.
Do not need the protection of the aerodynamic forces.
No.
Now, this is a video get by the camera mounted on the rear part of the second stage, and this is a video inside the payload fairing. We can see the folded solar panels of the Shenzhou spacecraft.
And when that is released,
you see the
separated.
The fairing's gone.
The bottom right screen there.
Fairing's gone, now they can see the world.
But obviously, at this moment, the Shenzhou spacecraft is still in the shadow area of the Earth, so the astronaut cannot see the light of the sun.
Yeah.
But they can already view the beautiful Earth now.
They're checking that manual
again. It should be above
again.
Shandong at this moment.
Not yet. Maybe 7 minutes later.
Yeah.
The separation point of the launch vehicle, the second stage, and the Shenzhou spacecraft will be to the east of the eastern coast of China Sea. maybe in the Yellow Sea area.
So it's all very precise where it's going at what time. You can predict.
Everything is designed.
So
the USB reader works normally, and also tracking.
Nominal tracking, nominal functioning. So everything goes well now.
Yeah, and the astronauts are looking pretty comfortable in there, flipping through their manuals.
Now you can see that on the second stage, we have one main engine and several vernier engines. The main engine has a thrust more than 80 tons. And the vernier engine to change the stability and also direction of the second stage. And the next step will be the shutdown of the main engine. But the full vernier engine is still working for several seconds to ensure the accuracy of the trajectory. Now you can see that's the second stage, because it is at night, it's very bright.
Yeah.
This is a camera mounted on the end of the second stage, looking backwards.
So far with the Shenzhou missions, have we ever had a daytime launch?
I
with
think
manned missions?
We do.
Manned missions?
Yes, we do.
The second stage works much longer than the first stage, although it has a shorter length, has less propellants, but because it only has one main engine, about 80 tons level, so it works much longer. Okay, Qingdao ground station has already have the data link connected to the launch vehicle. But this moment is still to the west.
Yes,
west,
yeah.
And then it will fly across the Qingdao. And still have connections with Weinan Station in Shanxi province.
That's my hometown.
Yeah.
Getting a good view there.
So you can visit the ground station.
So gas is above Hebei at this moment.
Maybe in Shandong.
Yeah. So after Shandong, it's going to be entering the Pacific, and then the boat will take over.
Our space tracking ship, our Yuanwang 3 space tracking ship.
So we can really draw out the map of exactly where this
You
rocket
can see
is
the bright
passing
flame
now.
of the vernier engine, and also in the middle is the main engine, very bright. So the vernier engine can have a servo unit to move its direction to change the attitude of the second stage, and also to keep it stable.
What period of time are we looking at before they reach orbit?
About more than 9 minutes after launch.
So I think you can see that the engine is continue to accelerate the capsule so that it can reach roughly 7.8 kilometers per second speed, which is what we call a cosmic speed. For not coming back to Earth, but it's circling around the Earth. That's the minimum speed that they request to go around the Earth, and also they're accelerating to the altitude of which is a little less than 400 kilometers above the Earth, which is the station altitude.
We said earlier how they chose this time so that the whole rendezvous and docking, the whole process will take less time, 6.5 hours, right? Then what's the longest that China's manned space missions have taken then for this process?
For the Shenzhou, for the Tiangong 1 and the Tiangong 2 missions, usually they took 2 days.
2 days.
Okay,
that's
the main engine of the second stage has shut down, which means that the main acceleration procedure is already being accomplished, and the astronaut now the G-forces is much less than before, much more comfortable than before. And then with several seconds will be the shutdown of the 4 vernier engines. You can now still see the 4 vernier engines.
Well, let's check in now with Zheng Yibing, who's at the Beijing Aerospace Control Center. Yibing, so everybody must be tracking the progress of the rocket there. What's the latest?
Shenzhou-19 spacecraft has been launched from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, and we saw the exciting moment of the ignition and liftoff of the flight combination of Long March 2F carrier rocket and Shenzhou-19 manned spacecraft. And this is the 14th manned space flight mission of China. And also, its mission is to send the Shenzhou-19 crew to China's Tiangong space station to take the baton from the Shenzhou-18 crew for the 6 months long and stay in China's space station. And also here at the Beijing Aerospace Control Center, we saw the whole process of this launch sequence. From the sea-off ceremony from the Wentiangge Pavilion to the system check at the Beijing Aerospace Control Center, and from the counting down at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center to the separation of the boosters and the first and second stages. And while the three taikonauts, or the Chinese astronauts, just like Mr. Yang Yuguang in the studio said, they look very comfortable. So Mr. Cai Xuzhe and Song Lingdong and Wang Haoze, they look very calm and determined. They do prepare for this mission. And well, this mission, or the flight mission of the Shenzhou-19 crew, takes a fast rendezvous and docking mode, just like the previous 7 mission from the Shenzhou-12 3 years ago to the Shenzhou-18 just 6 months ago. They all took the fast rendezvous docking mode. It took about 6.5 hours to get for the spacecraft to get to the Tiangong space station. So now at the current time, we saw on the big screen is the status of the Shenzhou-19 crew, but in the moment later we are going to see the Shenzhou-18 crew. They're waiting in the Chinese space station and waiting for the coming of the newcomers to the station. And during the recent days, they have made a very full preparation to welcome the newcomers. And we're going to see the meet and fantastic meet, space meet of the 2 Shenzhou crews in China's Tiangong space station. Although this is a routine launch mission after China's space station entered its application and development stage, we all see the details, and we also see that is very exciting moment. Just like the crews of the Shenzhou's always said in the China space station together, China's space is always worth looking forward to. Back to you.
Yibing, thank you so much for being at the Beijing Aerospace Control Center.
Just during Yibing's description, we've already seen the successful separation between the end stage and the Shenzhou spacecraft. And now you may notice that the Shenzhou spacecraft is already in the sunshine area. You can see the beautiful curvature of the horizon of the Earth. Very beautiful.
This is the camera outside the capsule.
Yeah.
And so soon we'll be expecting the solar panels to open up, right?
Unfolded, will be extended within several minutes.
That marks the success.
Although we don't usually hear the announcement from the control center of the official,
with the commander of the launch site system. Now you can see the camera on the propulsion module, which can monitor the unfolding procedure of the launch solar panels.
We just heard some various reports there.
And also, as I emphasized, you can see the beautiful curvature of the Earth's horizon. Okay, unfolded. Each of our solar panel wings have 4 pieces, the Shenzhou spaceship.
How many solar panel wings does this have? Two
wings. Each have 4 pieces.
And then we can see the Shenzhou-18 crew in there eagerly awaiting. So we expect the 2 crews to meet by midday Beijing time, right?
Exactly.
Meet for lunch.
The 5th
lunch dates.
The 5th rendezvous of different crew in orbit.
Yes, the capsule itself has to find the sun so that the solar panel can be driven by a system called SADA to face the sun to generate maximum power to provide the capsule with electricity.
It finds that automatically?
Yeah, it has a sensor.
And the orbit maneuver to chasing the Tiangong space station will all be done automatically.
We're hearing that they're saying the panels are rotating normally.
The ground staff report, as Yan Song has mentioned, the SADA working normally. Tianlu is the name of the Tianlian data relay satellite.
We're talking about the tracking there.
Yeah. Now you can see it's already in the daytime. You can see the Earth is so bright.
Oh, I was wondering what that was actually. I wasn't sure.
It's already above the Pacific Ocean.
They find the sun.
Sunflowers.
So it's another day for them.
That's the Shenzhou-19 crew speaking to the command center. Oh wait, the other way around.
The voice of Mr. Cai Xuzhe.
Report on the health conditions.
That's the Shenzhou-19 crew speaking.
Feeling good.
That's a classic line, isn't it? Yeah, we're feeling good.
Yeah. Obviously, he's very calm.
神舟19号经地面确认，座舱环境正常，可以打开面窗。
Is this the little window that there's that
they can open their face mask?
They can. Okay.
Because this moment, the inner atmosphere inside the cabin is in a normal condition.
There, they just open it
not
up.
hazardous to the astronauts.
What sort of temperatures is inside this capsule right
in
now?
room temperature, usually very comfortable for them. Maybe 20, maybe 25 degrees.
Yeah.
But when they open up the that helmet, the visor, would they feel a change in the pressure?
No. It's adjusted to the human adapted conditions. Yeah. What we call life support system on board the capsule.
Okay, both the space tracking ship Changjiang 3号, all the Yuanwang 3 tracking ship, and also the Tianlu, all the Tianlian data relay satellite, have normal communication link with the vehicle. So we have redundancy measures, both from the sky and from the sea.
So this view we're looking at right now on the screen, so this is a camera
mounted on the Shenzhou spaceship.
And that
outside
bright orb is
the bright one on the top right is the Earth.
That's
with cloud.
Really fascinating view.
Maybe it's alright, not cloud. Maybe it's because it is too bright. It's just because it's too bright.
Yeah.
That's not a view everyone gets to see.
It is exposure of the camera.
I hope we can go there and see it.
Maybe with these privately, operated spacecrafts.
You will be the 5th batch of
As Sun Ye was saying earlier, that the frequency of these launches now, these manned missions, every half a year. This is it's impressive, isn't it?
Yes, to maintain the permanent presence of human beings on board the station, you have to do that in rotation every half a year. Astronauts do have longer times. They stay in the station. One of the longest one, an American, spent almost 2 years in the station. But when he came back, he said, I went to a foot massage. And the foot massager said, I've never tried a foot so tender.
Wow.
Now is a video. Oh, this is a 3D animation. So you can see, although it is a 3D animation, but it is real data driven. So the status, including the status of the panels, represents the real condition.
实时轨道与遥测数据监视判断，神舟19号飞船已进入近地点高度200公里，远地点高度362公里，倾角41.5度，周期1小时30分钟的预定轨道。太阳帆板展开，飞船工况正常。
The spaceship is operating normally, the astronauts are feeling good, the panels are open, operating well. Pretty much as expected, everything just went.
With that apogee and perigee, it's in the elliptical orbit. It's going to be having another maneuver before it's ready for rendezvous.
It has a very small eccentricity. The perigee is 200 kilometers, and the apogee, or the highest point, is 362 kilometers.
And if you put that in lay terms for us, the apogee and the perigee, we're talking about...
It's like an elliptical orbit. It's in relative to Earth. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has a near Earth point, and it's also a far Earth point. So that makes an elliptical orbit. The highest point is the station orbit.
So commander will announce the success, and we will see the big red screen.
Yes, we'll be hearing that very soon.
Like my tie.
Officials, comrades. Based on the flight data and report from Beijing Command and Control Center, the Long March 2I Y-19 carrier rocket has sent Shenzhou-19 manned spacecraft to the preset orbit. the solar panel has been unfolded successfully and is functioning well. I now declare the launch of Shenzhou-19 mission a complete success. Thank you.
Official announcement.
北京东风报告。
我是北京东风，请讲。
发射结果宣布完毕。
北京明白。